I started posting on Instagram pretty consistently about 4 months ago. I'm a full-time YouTube creator, full-time Facebook creator, and so on. So I'm used to getting paid for the views on my videos. Instagram, however, tens of millions of views in my first few months of even trying it, and not a single dollar in my bank account from it. So what gives Instagram? Well, thankfully, Colin and Samir had done an interview with the head of Instagram, and something they brought up was the creator rev share. So with that said, let's have a look at how Instagram thinks about paying creators. Let's jump into it.
Best we can tell, well north of a $15 billion industry is people doing brand deals off platform on Insta, and then distributing that content on Instagram. So, and I do totally understand the revenue matters a ton, particularly for large creators, and large creators are disproportionately important, right? Because they reach more people. On rev share, because I want to make sure I'm not skirting the question, it's something that we're working on. It's something that I think is just fundamentally more difficult with short form video, though I do think shorts is doing decently. But with long form video, everything is a bit more straightforward, particularly attribution. So if you watch a 20-minute video and you see 3 ads, what percentage do you want to share? And it's very clear who that share goes to. Whereas with short form video, if you watch 50 videos and you see 15 ads, who gets those dollars? So attribution is tricky in and of itself. But the bigger problem is that we haven't figured out a way to do it that isn't just burning cash. So we are running tests for what we call bonuses, which are essentially performance-based incentives. So, we'll pay you to create more content, and then people create more content. But then we measure, does that actually increase the revenue for the app? And so that we can actually have money to share back. And we are finding that it is much easier to make those programs ROI positive for photos than for videos. And one of the reasons is photos are higher monetization efficiency because you get more ad impressions because you look at photos for less time. But another is that per dollar, when you pay a creator to create something new, they will create more incremental photos and incremental videos because videos are harder to make. And really interesting, the incremental content they make is lower quality than the average quality, but that drop is much lower for photos than for reels. So they'll make another reel, but they will only make one, and it's way worse than the reel that they would have created otherwise, or the first reel that they would have created either way. We are trying to figure out, okay, well, what can we do about that? How can we get this working? Because to me, I need that program to make enough money so that we can pay creators and have those checks be credible. If I send you guys a $12 check, it's probably going to make you think worse of us than if we just didn't have a program.
Okay, so that's not entirely true, I don't think, but we'll keep it moving.
So we're iterating in Japan and in Korea and the US to try to get these programs on their video side working so that we can then scale them up. But for us to do that, it's going to need to not burn money. It's going to need to be.
I also want to empathize really quickly that I'm not saying that what he's saying is incorrect when it comes to a low payout. It would annoy people, let's be real. If I'm making 1 million views and I'm being paid $2 for it, that's not going to sit well with me. But it's going to sit better with me than being paid nothing. And part of the reason for that is simply that I want to know, and until today, we didn't know this, I wanted to know that Instagram is working on a way to get me paid for the work that I'm doing on the platform. Obviously, it's my choice, but from a business perspective, we both got to eat out here. And right now, Instagram is the only one that's eating. So rev share, even if it's not good because they're working it out, it would still be, it would be appreciated.
We get to a place where the eligibility can be, I hope, ideally public, so you know why you're allowed to be in the program in the first place. And the checks need to be credible, which probably comes down to CPMs at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think credibility is the most important because I don't think, if we got a $12 check, I don't think I would feel disrespected or anything like that. I would just want to know, how did that happen?
Yeah. But it might discourage.
Oh, it might discourage. But if I knew there was a clear path towards like, hey, this is why it was $12 based off the viewership you got. Here's what you can do to increase it. Right? I may feel better about
the trick though is it's not just about your viewership, it's about the replacement value. So let's say you made 10 reels through the program and they all got really good views, But if you hadn't made it, we would have had just as much engagement from him that wasn't paid for. Then from an Instagram business perspective, the ROI is negative 100%. So if we paid you $1,000, I'm making up numbers now, for 10 reels, and the replacement value was 0, you would look at it, your reels, and you'd be like, they all got 500,000 views, and these are the CPMs, you owe me X. And it's like, yes, but from a business perspective, if we hadn't paid you $1,000 and we would have made the exact same amount of revenue, then we've actually just burned $1,000. And so it's, yes, we should show you why. But my worry is that, let's say I show you why to the degree I can, and let's say I even pay you more than 100%. Mm-hmm. Let's say it's $1,000 and I pay you $1,000 and we only made an incremental $900. I've lost $900 and you've got a $100 check, and you probably are going to think that I'm being cheap because I'm only paying you $100 for 10 videos that got 500,000 views each. So it's tricky, and I'm not.
So what he's saying here is that they don't have the business model down like YouTube and TikTok do to pay creators the way they deserve.
I'm going to say our job is hard. Of course, our job is hard, and we've got great jobs, and I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the program has to be sustainable, because if it's not, if we're burning cash, when things get tight, when the economy goes up and down and ad dollars go up and down, and a lot of our business is just exposed to macroeconomics at this point, then when we cut marketing budgets, like one of the things that we're going to cut is a program that is literally burning money. And I need the program to be stable, right? I can't have a program this year and take it away for everyone and take it away next year and then bring it back the year after. That's just jerking you around.
It's kind of what they're doing already. I'm just going to say it. That's kind of, not exactly, but kind of what they're doing already. Because sometimes Instagram does provide what's called the performance bonus, where creators essentially get paid normally outrageous amounts, inflated amounts, just to incentivize and I think also keep the monetization conversation going. So when I'm talking about crazy amounts, what I really mean by that is it's not unusual for Meta, both on Facebook and on Instagram, to pay creators tens of thousands of dollars each month. Generally, it goes between the range of like 30 to 50,000 per month, roughly. That is their playbook, but obviously not sustainable, especially when no one knows what the eligibility criteria is. So you can't work towards it. You can't be like, I need to get to X number of followers, X number of watch hours, different metrics or whatever. None of that. You basically kind of get lucky. Obviously, you're probably more likely if your page is booming for yourself to get paid, but...
And you all, particularly the large creators, you're a business. So how much money you make matters, but so does the consistency of those dollars so that you can plan accordingly.
I think it's really interesting, actually.
And similarly, when he says that you guys are a business, you need sustainability, consistency, etc. Very true, very true. My opinion right now is that most creators who are doing this properly, who, taking it seriously, know what they're doing, you're on multiple platforms anyway. Which means that for me, for example, if Instagram is now and then providing an extra 33K, let's say, per month, and that bonus lasts for, say, 3 months and that's it for the year. Well, honestly, that extra roughly 100,000 in the year is always welcome. I know I can't rely on it because Instagram is so fickle, but at least it's there. And that extra 100K can be very helpful.
Didn't anticipate that answer from you. I think what you just said makes a ton of sense. And I think about when we first started, we were making such niche content on YouTube that AdSense and revenue share was nominal for the first 9 years of us being on YouTube. And so we learned how to build a business without revenue share. And so even when I think about Instagram, like,
Okay, so what Samir is talking about here kind of actually got them a little bit of heat, honestly, because, well, let's actually have a look at the comments because that kind of gives us an idea of the backlash. It's not backlash, it's just like pushback against the boys here. As a creator on Instagram with multiple videos with over 100 million views, the monetization conversation was disappointing. The answer on creator monetization was so bad, and you guys just kind of smiled and nodded. Adam literally said, tell me I'm wrong. Really wish you guys would prepare even the slightest critical questions for your, I've seen that I was going to say interview. Colin and Samir dropping softballs to their guests so they can keep on rolling with this trend of podcast becoming a platform for self-promotion. This dude danced rings around them honestly, answered what he wanted to answer, and dominated the conversation with a massive grin from start to finish. All the top comments are totally right. You guys got washed and hypnotized by his swinging chain. Shouldn't have stared at it for too long. So I'm not going to dish on Colin and Samir at all. Not going to help anyone. Now, at one point in Adam's talk, he did actually say, look, this is something we want to do. We want to pay IG creators properly. Importantly though, let's talk about why YouTube is able to implement a stronger monetization strategy than IG. In fact, they actually talk about this.
I think it's a good model. I don't know if it's working or not.
Sure.
From a business perspective, because I don't know, maybe they're just subsidizing their shorts business with their long form video business or with their search business because they want to grow in short form video. Because, I mean, TikTok hurt us in 2020, 2021, but it hurt them way more.
So what he's talking about here is taking money from long form, their standard business model where they're doing really well, and essentially injecting money that isn't really there for market share. Here's the thing though, that's exactly what Instagram does. Sometimes. That's what the bonus program is. When creators are being paid 33, 35, 50K per month for their reels or for their engagement that they're producing via images, whatever it might be, when they're doing that, that's not because the engagement isn't making $50,000. It's just to keep Instagram in the conversation of being a viable tool for creators to use to monetize and make a living. Those engagements aren't making that amount. It's inflation, complete inflated money that IG is using for market share. The same thing he's talking about that YouTube's doing, potentially using long form revenue to subsidize and get people on their short form, creators specifically on their short form.
So it's not unreasonable as a business to take a loss in order to grow market share and assume that you're going to figure it out later, which they might be doing. And to be clear, like they are best in class at rev share, but rev share is not the only way to make money as a creator. Whereas TikTok is best in class at discovering small creators and helping them pop. But it's not best in class at rev share. It's not best in class in stability of reach. In fact, that ability to pop is sort of inversely correlated with stability of
Okay, I shall let him finish.
reach, because it's more volatile by definition. And so I think they're doing good work. I know a lot of people who work there who just do good stuff. I don't know.
Okay, so TikTok specifically, their entire model has been short form. So they don't have long form that I'm aware of, at least, a long form money pool to subsidize the short form money pool. I genuinely don't know how TikTok has managed that myself, honestly. I don't know if maybe they're using ByteDance funds. I don't know how Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, I don't know how that monetizes in the same way. So that's that. But either way, both TikTok and YouTube are really actually starting to do better now when it comes to how much they're paying. Even so much as for Western audiences, you can expect a $1 RPM for short form. For reference, any short form platform before was paying sometimes 1 cent, 10 cents for 1 million views or for 1,000 views. So,
if they're subsidizing it or if they're just better at it than we are, or what's going on. But also, YouTube isn't Google or Alphabet's main business. Search is their main business. Right. Mm-hmm. And whenever you are in an adjacent business, like I'm sure they care about their P&L. And I think you guys interviewed Neil before. Mm-hmm. But it's not the same pressure. Like whereas Instagram, yes, Facebook and Instagram are like sister apps. Like we're both driving most of the revenue for the company in order to subsidize all the other longer term bets that we're making.
So one thing is Facebook video. We have friends who their number one revenue source
people underappreciate
is Facebook in-stream ads.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a huge source of revenue. And a lot of that is because they're posting, relatively longer form content, 3 to 6, maybe 10-minute videos on Facebook.
Yeah.
And the content's engaging. And I'm surprised always when we meet a creator who's like, yeah, I make most of my money from Facebook.
Facebook is much bigger than Instagram worldwide. If you just look at raw minutes per day or raw hours per day. I do think, though, it's a different app in a number of ways. They don't have DMs in it. We have a much stronger position and a lot more in a lot of countries, not all countries, around friends sharing products like stories, not just DMs. And I think of like connecting friends as an adjacent thing to short form video, and short form video is an adjacent thing to long form video, but long form video and connecting friends aren't adjacent. Mm-hmm. And it pains me because I love podcasts, watching them, listening to them, doing them. I actually did a couple interviews with creators over the last couple of weeks. I think people over creativity and then lose our core identity.
Okay, so I didn't mean to skip too much, but it felt like he was avoiding the question or he forgot the question, one of the two, and then Colin Samir didn't really push back on it. But Facebook is actually really heavily going into short form right now. Really heavily going into short form. So much to the point now where they're actually paying about the same amount for a shorter video. With Facebook, 3-minute videos from the start of monetization back in 2018, 3-minute videos was the be all and end all. You post a 3-minute video, that was the only way to be monetized, or for a video to be monetizable. 3-minute video, and then an advert would always place roughly around 55 seconds to 1 minute into the video. Now they've changed it, so it does seem like, long story short, even a 15-second video could pay as much as a 3-minute video, which really makes the whole effort for making a 3-minute video pointless as far as I'm concerned. However, that to me means that they already kind of have short form down. Instagram specifically right now is all about short form content when it comes to Reels. Yes, I think you can go over a minute now, but in general, it is a short form content platform, and that's what they've been pushing, algorithmically at least. So with that being said, their platform right now doesn't actually feel that different to the Facebook monetization. But Facebook's monetization is really janky, and if you make money on Facebook, then you're aware of this. Personally, as someone who's made a fair good amount of money on Facebook, the only reason I'm still on Facebook is because it pays, not because the process on making money on Facebook is a nightmare, and it always has been. But yeah, they get away with it because they pay so well. With that said, it's a shame that IG monetization isn't where we want it to be. But what Adam did say, and I can't find it, but it's somewhere in the podcast, is that they do, in fact, really want to pay creators. But they have basically admitted, like, we don't know how to right now. They need to figure that out because Google, YouTube is really paying attention to that. If TikTok isn't banned, then IG, whatever platform is paying the most, creators will gravitate towards. It's not rocket science. If you're making money on one platform, you're going to have some level of allegiance to that platform to continue making money. So we don't know when it's going to be. I would assume, though, that eventually IG will start paying creators a reasonable amount. We don't know when that will be, though. And as I always say, the way to get around this, or at least to benefit as much as you possibly can from it, is to simply be as big as you can be on every platform. So making sure that all of your content lives in different formats on all the different platforms. Obviously, that takes a bit of time, but as far as I'm concerned, if you're doing 10 million views per month on Facebook and you're making 10,000 a month from Facebook, therefore, then you could probably put a bit of money or a bit of resources into getting those videos out on YouTube, etc., and 4xing your income over 4 different platforms. Obviously, it's more nuanced than that, and there's a lot to go about with it, but the general theory is there. You can multiply your income by being on different platforms, making sure that the repurposing process simply isn't costing more than it takes to repurpose. So that's what we have right now with Instagram. I don't see anything actually changing this year. We've already on the performance bonus this year, so there's nothing else really more than that. But hopefully in the next few years, I think how TikTok is affected by lawmakers and so on may have an effect, but we're just going to have to see what happens.